Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. You didn't come here to hear me sing a thing. I'm sorry. Look, I am such a Santa Claus fanatic. My Christmas tree was up at the beginning of November. I can't help myself. So when it comes to carving Santa Claus ornaments or any Christmas ornaments, I'm all there. I'm all in, and we're going to carve more Christmas ornaments today. I promise you guys next week we'll do something other than Christmas ornaments. Maybe, probably. Very likely. We'll see. But today we're going to carve on the corner the same kind of block that we did for the Grinch ornaments. We're going to do again for Santa Claus, and we're going to put cigars and pipes in their mouths because I love putting cigars and pipes in the mouths of my creations. Now, I like that flat plane style, so we're going to go for flat plane style, and we're going to go for like the hidden eyes, so it's a little bit easier, and we're going to use a knife and a gouge. Now, I've showed you guys how you can get a cheap gouge. There's no excuse to say that the tools are too expensive. You can get one for like $5, okay? So we're going to use one gouge and a knife because it's going to make it far easier on us. If you want to do everything in the world knife only, you're learning carving on hard. You don't want to be doing it on hard difficulty, okay? So we're going to step back from that. So let's take a look at the carvings here and take a look at the hands, and we're going to jump right into it. All right, I hope you still have some blocks left over from when you did the Grinch, because we're going to do the same thing, same block, 4 inches tall, and this is the same kind of 1.5 inch square block. You can see I did a terrible job of cutting this one here. I cut it off centered. That's okay. Doesn't matter if you use a small one, the big one. If you cut it off, and that's why I wanted to use this one to show you, like, even though this isn't cut perfectly in the corner, that's just fine. There's not a problem there whatsoever. We're going to carve a Santa, kind of like this guy right here. You've already seen him, and you can see on the overlay the one that we're carving right now. And for this project today, we're going to do this with just a knife. You can do this whole project with just a knife. However, I think it's much easier and much more beneficial to use a gouge. So I got 2 right here. The one that we made, which is the number 8, right? And then one that I've got here, number 9, which is a file gouge. I'm going to show you how you can use those effectively to do a little detailing, and how much easier it makes working on a nose with a tool like that. And also someone asked me how I said, I said in a tools video that I use this all the time. I'm going to show you how I use it today. So, all right, so we're going to start with doing a little drawing on our wood here to figure out where we're going to put everything. So I like to eyeball things a little bit, but I know a lot of you guys like to have measurements. So we're going to come down about 1.5 inches on the top here, and we're going to put our first mark to the top of the hat band. And it's going to be about 1.5 inches for the bottom of the hat band, I should say, okay? And then on the other side, we're going to do about 1.75 inches, and that's going to be about where the bottom of our hat band is, okay? 1.75 inches over here as well. Now, I don't like having measurements on here because I like doing things flowing with it a bit easier and changing things up. It's like already I think, man, is that too low? I don't know. So right about here, we're going to draw a big ball for the hat, okay? And then from that is going to come up like so for our hat. Have the same thing kind of going on down here. Over here, we're going to have the top of the hat band, make a nice big thick hat band on Santa. And then the hat's going to kind of come up here to the top like so, okay? Very simple design. Now, down here, I'm going to take these corners off because we're going to round this beard off. So, and then we're going to put a nose probably right there. That's 3/4 inch down from the top of that, or from the bottom of the hat band. So from this point here, 3/4 inch down, we'll put that there. I'm taking about, what, 1/2 inch from the corner, off of the corners on each side there. And that's what we're going to start doing. So to start with, I'm going to take all those hard, sharp corners off. So right here where we cut that, those are all a little sharp. And I'm just going to smooth those out real quick and easy. Just on those sides, on either side. And then those bottom corners of the beard, I'm just going to start rounding those in a little bit on each side. This is a pretty quick carving. There's not a lot to these little guys, and I really love carving them. Take that front down a little bit. And we'll do the same thing all the way up the top, like that. All right, now let's take off those corners on either side here to the top and bottom. Start bringing that hat in. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. Sorry. I've got Christmas music in my head because I'm one of those Christmas people that are listening to Christmas music already. I've got the Christmas tree up already. That's just the way that I am. All right, so I'm just rounding off the top of the hat here, okay? I'm gonna try to get all these saw marks off of the top. Now, when you're carving, in case this is your first video with me, any of the saw marks where we haven't had a knife touch the wood, those are gonna take paint and stain differently. So we wanna make sure every surface of this thing has been touched by the knife. Now, for this front here, you can see it's still very square. We're gonna take off about an angle like so on the front of this, just like that right there. I'm gonna start carving that down. Okay, I'm even gonna go a little bit onto the hat band to do that. Because that hat band is gonna be perfectly straight. It's gonna be on the top of the head, right? We're losing a lot of our marks right now, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. So we got that down to about like so. Now we're gonna keep rounding this over here. And you know what? Let's kind of swoop in. Let's make this a little bit more curved. It's a little bit easier with a detail blade, so I could just do this with a detail blade where I kind of go in and out, in. As I go up, I kind of turn it and come out. So making a rounder kind of swooping cut, right? With a thinner blade, it's a little bit easier, which is why I switched over to this detail knife. But I don't have to use a detail knife. I could do it with just this one rough out knife. I'm just letting you know that it's a little bit easier on you if you have a detail knife. If you're trying to do everything knife only, you're doing your life on hard mode, trying to learn how to wood carve, okay? Do not assume that you're doing it easier by doing it knife only. It is hard mode to do everything with a knife only. You should be looking at getting other tools, and you can get them cheaply, right? I'm gonna show you how to use this gouge. Like I said, I got another video where I showed you how you can do this gouge for $5. $5 for the tool, and then a piece of wood to glue into the handle, and you've got yourself a palm gouge. They are not that expensive. You can afford them. But if you want to do it knife only, you absolutely can. Now I'm just working on the other side of the hat. I'm going to make this angle a lot more sheer now. We were going at a 45-degree angle up. Now we're going to increase that degree here, and we're going to start carving it over because we're going to get, as you can see on the overlay, a little bit of a flop to that hat, okay? Now to start that over here, we got that nice curve in there. I'm going to come in at an angle like so, and then come in from beneath it to a little V cut right here on the side of the hat, okay? Rock that in a little bit, and then come down 45, and again, just clean it up a little bit, and kind of sweep it up into that a little bit, like that, a little bit deeper. Okay, and on the front here, we're working on this angle here, we're gonna bring it up and we're gonna work on this angle now, okay? And we're gonna bring that around so that angle is also on the front too. You'll be able to see what I'm talking about right here. So see how we got multiple planes to that angle there as it comes around? And then a little bit more in the front right there, right? Which just adds a little bit to the hat, okay? Puts a little funk to that Santa cap. And yeah, keep that flop kind of centered a little bit. Like that. Just looking at trying to get that curve over here good. Round that off a little bit. I'm starting to like that. Okay, now for this side over here, we're going to put a little V-notch in here underneath where that ball goes. That's going to start to give us a little definition for that ball. And we're going to put a little V-notch in over here too, underneath where that hat band line is. Right there, okay? That's going to start to help define our beard. And we're going to kind of carve up to that. Lessen that incline on the bottom underneath it, like so. We're going to do the same thing on this side here. Lessen that incline as we come up to it, like that. So, real simple. Now, I told you I was going to show you what I do with that number 3. Well, here's what it is. And you can use the knife for this. I use it to clean up flat surfaces. Okay? I can take it and go with the wood grain and just really easily clean up all of those saw marks off a carving a lot easier sometimes than I can with a knife, especially on larger carvings. And then that's real smooth, and it gives it kind of a rippled pattern, right? It's wavy, and I like the look. So if I got large flat surfaces on a carving that need to be flat, I'll do that, and it'll give it a texture that'll look really nice. So that's what I use that tool for. So if you're wondering how, that's what it is. Now, you can do what I just did there with this knife. You can't get that ripple effect, but you can still clean off all the saw marks. And that's what I'm going to do for this side here, just to make sure you still believe me when I say it's knife only. Just taking all those saw marks off up to here. All right. Now we are going to smooth out that front a little bit more. We've lost most of our lines that we drew originally. Those were general guides, but we're going to go ahead and pencil some of these back in, okay? So that hat band is going to come just around like so. That ball is going to be a little bit bigger. We have it come down like that, just because that's the way that the lines have happened to go on the cuts. And that's what we're going to do. Okay, so let's start putting that line in for the hat band at the top and bottom. And you can use either knife, it doesn't matter. We're going to use the rough out knife. I'm just going to come in, I'm going to rock it in. I'm coming straight in on that flat plane, okay? Rock it in, and now I'm going to cut right down to it, like so. Be careful cutting down into the wood grain because it can go really quick and really easy. That knife will just slide in between the grains, and you might wind up cutting a lot quicker than you think you are and cut your finger. Be mindful of that. I just 45 degreed that right there. And then come down from the top, which gives us that little slower plane there for that angle. We don't need it to be thick and hard. Then I'm going to V-cut here at the top. And then we're going to, and you can do this different ways. You can just do a line with the knife like that, and then come in and V-cut it too. You get all kind of options with the knife. You don't have to do it every cut the way that I do it. You can do it however you want to. Now, as you'll see me flip carvings around to figure out the right angle for doing a cut. I'm going to do that consistently and constantly, and you should be doing the same thing. What we want to do now is start to define this hat a little bit. We want to get lines in around the whole thing to give it some dimension. And to do that, I'm probably going to start from up here, and I'm going to carve into it, right? So this is a block of wood, still on the corner. You can see that corner right here, nice and easy. You haven't lost it yet, right? Now I'm coming in on the corner. So it's angled. If you're looking at the face, it's going to be angled this way. But to make it easier for how to line up, I'm coming in right along this plane. So right along this plane here, I'm going to be coming in straight in along that plane, like so. And I'm going to turn it and just follow the path of that hat all the way down. And it's hard to get, there we go, you can kind of see it better. You get to where you can really see it. I'll cut like this. So I'm just following the path of that hat, right? So I'm flat on that plane and I'm just circling around like so. Once I get to the top here, it's going to be a little bit easier to come in like this. Right. Cut it out like a V-notch, like so. The hat's going to stick out a little bit. And that enables us to start to carve down the side of the hat a bit more the way we want to. Because it's the palm of the hat that's going to be sticking out the side. So we're making good progress. We're going to V-notch there and here around that hat. And then we're going to take, like we already did that straight line around that hat, we're going to meet up with it and just come in from the side and just take out that section, kind of like so. We started to to form where that hat's going to go. I'm just going to clean up around it a little bit, right? Just taking care of little stuff. And then we're going to start to round that palm. I'm going to switch over to the detail knife. You don't have to. You can use one knife and just choke up on it. But like I said, that's doing life on hard mode if you don't have extra tools. You can make it easier on yourself by having extra tools, and having a detail knife is exceptional for that. So we're going to take that detail knife, and the flat plane, again, it's right here. I'm going to come in right about so, not quite straight in line, a little bit further down, and just kind of round that edge all the way around that palm as I come in. So I'm going to start here. Remember to pay attention to your wood grain, okay? And remember that your wood grain is going to cause your knife to go in certain directions based on how that grain is going. You want to pay attention to that so that you don't make a cut you don't want to, because the grain forced your knife in the wrong direction. I never know which is someone's first video, so I'll take a moment to talk about wood grain, okay? Let me get another piece of wood here. Here's a scrap piece. So you can see the wood grain here in the wood. It is going vertical like so, okay? As you carve, you can slice into it. And here, I'm just going right in line with the wood grain, because the wood grain is going slightly in this direction here, okay? Slightly, it's going up and to the left here, okay? So when I cut into it here, I'm cutting across the wood grain. But if I go the other direction here, I'm going to be cutting into the wood grain. See how much deeper the knife went so quick, right? And it's just pulling the knife deeper as I go and starts to split. Look how terrible that cut looks. The lines in it versus here and how smooth they look. Cutting with the grain there, cutting against the grain here. That's why you're constantly pivoting your carving. Now if I go a much deeper angle, I can cut through the grain because I'm going much deeper of an angle, so you see a smoother cut there, okay? So that's what you need to watch out with your wood grain. When you're going into it too much, it can just easily slide between the grain too, and then that knife moves a lot quicker and becomes harder to control. Most of what you're learning with when you're carving and learning carving is learning how to predict the wood grain, how to carve around the wood grain, and how to read it. How to read it with your knife as you're carving so you can make deeper cuts and better cuts in the way that you want to make that cut. Okay, so I'm getting off track. Working on this palm here and defining this hat band up to it a little bit. Now, I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom of this hat band. We're going to bring that around as well. All the way around. Little V notches work just fine here. And we're going to do all the way on the other side. Now you can see already this hat band comes out too far on this side compared to this side. So we're going to need to carve that down a little bit. And that's okay. As you carve, you're going to see where you need to adjust things, right? That's looking a lot better. Now we're going to go ahead and bring the hat band around, and we'll take another look at it again later, and we'll see what we like. Is it too much? Is it not too much? We'll find out. More after these messages. Sorry. It's looking better. I'm going to take that hat band all the way around to the back of the hat here, all the way on the side of the head. I think that's looking a lot better. Now there's a kind of hard line here at the top of the hat. I'm going to smooth that out. That doesn't need to be there. That's just there because we were defining the hat band, and it kind of got created as a side effect. So getting rid of that will start to give that a better look, I think. Alrighty. Now, get a hard edge off right there, and then that. I'm going to jump around a lot when I'm carving, and you're going to notice that as I correct things. And you should be doing the same thing. Jump around. If you see something you can fix right now, like, oh, I don't like the way that looks, I can fix that real quick. Yes, you can. Take a moment to fix it. Okay. Now for this hat, right, he's got that flop and that kink. But where it flops at, where the hat comes up at, that's where it folds over to come down to his palm or his tassel. So we need to take a line up to the top here for that tassel that's flopped over, you see? I'm going to take off that hard saw mark top there as well. So let's take off that saw mark there. Use a paring cut here and just shave that off. There we go. Looking a bit better. Bring that in a bit more. Okay, now how do I fix that line up a bit? How do I get this line all the way in there and carve it down? Well, you can do it a couple ways. You can use a V-tool if you want to. You can take a V-tool and easily just put this channel in pretty well, right? Look at your wood grain and see how the grain, there it is, you can see it. You see how the grain is. You don't want to be going into the grain, you'll be going with the grain here. So if I came from this direction, I would be cutting through that grain nice and easy and it wouldn't tear. If I come down, it's going to tear. So keep that in mind, because you can see I'll be cutting across the grain, but if I'm coming down this way, because you can see that grain going up, I'll be cutting into it. So paying attention to that is beneficial. So I don't want to cut down here. I want to cut up. So I'm going to come in at a straight angle, like the carving is on a corner, but I'm going to come in straight right here, into here, and on up. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to do it right from the palm. I'm just going to try to follow. I don't want to go too deep. I'm going to pull that knife out a little bit as I go. And I'm keeping the knife in my right hand still, and the left hand is doing the moving here, okay? I don't want to lose control of this knife as I'm doing this, because this is a difficult spot to cut, and I don't want to cut myself. So it's, like I said, it's the left hand that's in the moving, and I'm kind of pushing myself along there to do that cut, and this hand is holding it still. And that enables me to do this without like cutting myself or doing something dangerous with the knife. Especially when you're new, being mindful of that is key. Now, because I got that in, I'm just going to be doing a quick cut here to finish out that V and take that out to make our line. Okay? I missed a little bit at the top there. And then I do a little V cut there. That's a little bitty one. And that's a good little shadow in there. Good little palm. Now we can go a little bit higher on it and get it a little bit in further. We don't need to do it the way we just did it. We can do it with little V cuts like this to bring it in for that fold, you see? Now we can take that hard corner off this. We're doing this from the bottom too, because we looked at that wood grain direction already. We know this is the way to do it. This is the corner to work. All right, that's looking pretty good. Kind of curve that around a bit more. Thin it out along that palm. Okay. Now, if you want to create a deeper line there, create more shadow, you can sink your knife back in and just retrace the line. And that puts a little bit more of a shadow there. You see how that shadow is there more prominent where we did that with a knife? You can do that, especially if you don't water your carving down afterwards, because once you water it down, it's just going to expand and fill up that crack. But if you don't intend to water it down, you can have that done like that. Now, if you want to make it bigger, we can just barely change the angle, come up the other direction, and try to take out the smallest of a sliver. And just, can't even get it out with a knife. Like that. And so you can kind of just deepen it slightly if you want to. I don't want to. I don't think we need to. I think it's looking pretty good. So we're just going to leave it. Take that hard corner off. Now we're making good progress. We're making good time. It's looking a lot more like a Santa. So let's put our nose in real quick. Let's bring this bad boy home. Like I said, about 3/4 inches down, we're going to put a line right there, okay? Now I'm going to go back to the rough out knife, and we're going to do this straight in, okay? Straight in on this plane, coming right in. And we're going to rock it back and forth. The right hand is holding the knife still. The left hand is rocking the carving. Left thumb is in the back of the carving and push it in, right? Do that, and then I'm going to cut up to it and then snip it out. Now you can see I've got more going on with the knife on the right side than the left side, so I'm going to rock it and fix that, and then carve up to it again, carve up to it again, snip it out. And do I want to go deeper than that? I think I do. Carve up to it, carve up to it. And all these sands I do different size noses. The depth here is part of what you're looking for. Do I want to do it deeper? You can make this nose longer if you want to. Bring it down farther down the face. You can have it up higher. But we're having the eyes on this guy hidden, as you can see in the overlay, right? I like having the eyes hidden on these. I think they, I like the look. I really like the look. I've done eyes. I can do eyes, you know, like, well, I got a lot of things with eyes. But like, I like the look, the hidden eyes on these Santas. They're fun to me. Just kind of deepen this corner up here like that. Okay, so we're working on the nose. I get distracted easy, a little bit of ADHD, so I apologize for that. All right, so now we're going to be looking at putting a bit of an angle in the nose. So the nose is flat here. We're going to come in at about a 45-degree angle and come right down almost to the very middle. We're going to come in, I mean, it's not much. We're going to leave about a quarter of an inch there in the middle that we're not going to touch. And you'll be able to see more clearly once I do the cut here. Coming in like that, a straight cut. So you can see there's that cut. And then I'm going to come in from the bottom like this and carve it out, okay? I'm going to do the same thing, matching the angle on this side right here. Just going to push that knife in, okay? Same depth. There's the depth, just going in just to the surface of the nose, like how deep we got the nose there, okay? Same angle, and then I'm going to cut right up to it. When I'm doing this cut, I'm just right in the same plane, okay? Just right up to it. And there is the beginnings of our nose, okay? So it's pretty simple. It's a straight cut, and then we got two angled cuts here to angle the nose. That's our beginning. Now, here's where your life can get easy if you use a gouge. You can do this with a knife if you want to, but it's much simpler to use a gouge. Now we're just going to put two nostrils in, okay? So right on each side here, with the edge of the gouge, right up on that, is where you put the nostril. And you just come straight down, okay? And then you can simply cut it out like that. Now you can do that with a knife, okay? I can take this detail knife and I can just kind of come in and then right back out and do that. It is doing life on hard mode to do that. I'm going to clean it up with this knife because I didn't like the look of that. So I don't suggest that you do this one, and I'm not going to mark this one as a knife only because I think that you should get a gouge for that. I really do. Okay, so we got big nostrils, easier nostrils. This is not a difficult nose to do. This is one of the easier noses to do that provides a little bit more realism to the nose as well, okay? So once we got that in place, now we're going to be looking at the edges of the nostrils, right? Those flares that go on the edge. So we're going to do a line starting up right above this bottom right side here of that nostril. You just go up about a quarter of an inch, and then we're going to start here and we're going to curve it around, okay? We're just going to bring that line around and down, okay? We're going to do the same thing over here. So corner of the nostril, about a quarter inch up, and then we're going to bring that line around and down. So you see that other cut? You can just barely see that there. Now we're going to V-cut into that from the left. Then from the right, we're going to come in much steeper, like that, and cut up to it. Create that little flare, okay? Watch this again. From here, we're going to do just a small angle down, okay? And then from here, I'm going to come down and over. So I'm not getting the same angle. Just like that. And then right up to it. And clean the lines up as you need, okay? Now, we've got this nose started. This top here is very hard and rigid. let's curve that off. Start making it a little smoother, a little rounder, a little more human-like, right? And now that nose is still very punched out. So let's smooth that in on that side and that side just a little bit. Let's leave this ridge here on top right now. Okay, here's where we get to use that gouge again, because we're going to start right here, right at that labial fold, and then we're going to take this gouge and we're going to center it up right there, and we're going to go in at quite a bit of an angle and just go right up to the hat band, okay? Straight on up to the hat band, like so. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, same with that labial fold, and then straight on up to the hat band, okay? And what we're doing is here, we're providing the sides of that nose. Stop cut at the top, which will just clip that out. Stop cut that side as well, which just clips that out. And then this hard line there, we're going to take off. So we come right down to that fold again and carve out like so. And the same thing on this side. And we're going to take that hard edge out. So I'm going to start that fold right there and just carve straight in. Like that. Okay, now you can see that nose is really starting to take shape. We're going to smooth this edge out right there. Smooth this other edge out as well. Like that. And there we have the beginnings of a good nose. Well, not even beginnings. That just is a good nose, okay? And you can smooth this out. If you want to give them a crook in it, you can give them a crook in it, you know. You can have this nose come in at a much greater angle there. Bring it on the side here. This right there. And then we've got a nose with a bit more character. See how it kind of pops out there, right? It's got a bit more character to it now. But you don't have to do that. You can do it however you want to. You can do whatever style of nose you want to. Now, we're going to continue the cheeks around right up underneath the hat. So this line here is the beginnings of our cheek. And we're just going to curve that right up in there and right up in there on this side as well. Okay? Same thing. Bring that out a little bit more right there under the hat band edge, like that. Now, I'm going to come straight in. So the flat angle, that corner, okay? I'm coming straight in on that flat angle, and I'm just going to curve it up and around along that line. Just to paint that in, like so. And then we're going to go at an angle, and we're going to carve the bottom side out, and then stop cut it. And then same thing on the cheek here, rounding that corner off. And it comes over. And there's our cheek. Okay, let's do the same thing on the other side. Same thing. Straight line in, like so. And then B cut from one side. And then rounding the other edge off, like so. It's looking fantastic. That's starting to look like a Santa face, isn't it? Now we want to draw on here to figure out where our mouth is going to be, but these hard lines here are going to cause a problem. So you got a couple options to shape this and to shape the bottom of the beard. You want to get rid of those hard lines, okay? One is you can have the beard come down and in, or two is you can have the beard kind of come out a little bit. And I like that look where it comes out a little bit. So let's do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off a bit of this section here in the bottom. And we're going to take off this corner right there and have this beard come out a bit, okay? So about, what, ½ inch maybe down from here or so? A ½ inch. Make my tape measure here. That is about, no, I'm good. That's about a ½ inch. So we're going to take that ½ inch off right here. Just come on in and bring that in at an angle towards the front. Give the bottom of that beard a little character as it comes out towards looking at the ornament, right? That's just fun is what it is. And then we're going to round off this hard corner here a little bit. Around it. Same thing on that side. Just taking that hard edge off all the way around. Okay? And then we are going to round off the edge here all the way to that point, getting rid of our saw marks as we go. And that paring cut to finish off those saw marks. Alrighty. So we've got that angled out on the bottom, and I like that a lot. Now we're going to take those hard edges off here. So I'm going to come in here and just gently do that. The reason we waited on these hard edges is because if we decided to bring this thing in around the front, we could have curved it the other way and brought it down. We could do that, but that would take those edges off in a different way. I didn't want to take them off, but I wanted to leave them there as most I could. But we got to take the hardness off of them, because if we don't, it's going to cause us a problem when we're drawing the mouth in. The pencil, as soon as we start drawing across that, it hits that hard line, and the pencil will do a little janky jerk kind of thing, you know? And if that happens, it could mess up where our mouth is going to be, and we don't want to do that. So taking those hard lines off is beneficial to us. And now I'm just going around on the beard and taking off all the hard lines I see. Just smoothing it out, you know? I'm going to smooth out that hard edge and that hard edge, like so. And he's really coming together. We're going to bring this front a little bit flatter. I love how it's coming out. I really do. But smoothing it a little bit, I think, is beneficial. I think that's going to be just fantastic. Okay. Now we want to put a pipe or a cigar in his mouth, one of the two. Okay. To do that, we are going to give his mouth room for that, right? And you can see in the overlay what we're going for already. So I'm going to do his mustache where it's higher on one side, okay? And then it'll come down to the other side. And that's not quite far enough. Let's erase that. As you can see, the edge of the mustache here is over underneath the edge of the cheek. It's past the edge of the nose. So we need to bring it past the edge of the nose over here. And then we can bring it down like so. And that gives us a better mouth. And now the lip is going to come at the opposite angle. Okay, so we go up as we go to the left for that mouth, because right here is where our stogie or our pipe is going to sit. For the lip, we're going to come down as we come over to the left and come over like so, so that we've got room for that big old stogie. So we're going to carve this out. First off, we're going to trace out the bottom edge of the mustache, and I'm just going to come in straight at that angle here, right? And I'm going to maintain that as we come around. So straight in and just curve around. I am both moving the carving and the knife a little bit as I do this. I am not pushing very hard, and I'm not pushing very deep. If you don't get deep enough, do a second pass. Do a third pass if you need to, but take it slow, take your time, and don't cut yourself. And there we go, all the way through. Now I'm going to take out a little bit of depth here. I'm just going to come in from the bottom and just carve up those lines and just let it chip out. Same thing to the middle. We're just taking out a little bit of depth, not too much. We want to leave enough room to make that bottom lip. I'm going to do a paring cut for this little section here. It's harder to get to because I'm right-handed. A lefty would be a lot easier for this side, but they had a harder time on the other side. And take that hard line out right there. Now we've already lost our lip, but if you look at this, you could be done with him here. He looks pretty neat. He's fun already, but we're not done with him. We're going to keep going. We're going to put this bottom lip in here, and we're going to put a cigar or a pipe into his mouth. So we need to create a bit of a gap there. And to do that, I'm going to come in from the top and just put a nice big deep cut there. and here, okay? Pretty deep. I'm getting that knife in relatively deep, okay? And then I'm gonna do the same thing on this side here. So right now we've got the top edge here, really deep right there, and this side there. And then we're gonna come in at an angle like so, and we're gonna cut right up to that edge. We got 3 angles here, a stop cut there, a stop cut here, a stop cut there. And we're gonna cut like that to just chip that out. So we got that spot out. That's where we're gonna drill a hole for our pipe. But by doing it with a knife first like that, we created the angles we wanted to on the mouth, which is gonna make it look better, okay? Which is just absolutely fantastic. So we'll chip out. Okay, now the bottom of the mouth, we're just gonna V-cut along for the bottom of this lip here. I'm gonna give him a big, thick bottom lip. And just putting some V-cuts in as we come on over to the other side of the mustache. And look at that, right? Look at what character he's got now, huh? Look at that face. Arr. That's fantastic. A grumpy Santa with a cigar. He's gonna look great. Okay, so we're gonna curve off those edges a little bit right through here, just like that. Just like that. Just getting rid of our pencil marks, so to speak, and getting rid of those hard lines. Like so. Now our hat palm still has some saw marks on it. We're going to take the saw marks off, round this off here, like so. Nice and gentle. Nice and easy. Okay, now you can keep doing things all day long to a carving like this. We can do 100 things to make him more detailed, but we're not going to do too much of those. We're going to stop at some point. That way we can be done. Otherwise, we'll be doing this forever. So we need to do a cigar or a pipe. Now, a cigar is very easy. So I got a second guy carved here. Same way. So I can show you a cigar on one and a pipe on the other, okay? So a cigar, I just take a piece of dowel rod. And this is a it's an 1/8 inch dowel rod. And I'm just going to cut it down about yay long. Okay, I'm going to use a pair of snips to do that. And that gives me a little piece of wood. For the back end, I'm just going to thin it down so I'll be able to drill a hole and put it in. This is super easy for the cigar. There's nothing complicated there, okay? If you didn't drill a big enough hole, just thin it out a little bit more. For the top edge, this is where you need to be careful. I'm going to do a paring cut along the top here to smooth it out from that saw, okay? Now, because a dowel rod is milled and not sawn along the edge, this edge takes paint pretty well, whether or not it's had a knife hit it or not. So I don't worry too much about that. Once I drill a hole in this mouth, that is going to fit in there pretty good and give him a cigar. Okay? So just like that right there. That's fantastic. Let's thin that out a bit more. Just a bit at a time, whittling away at it. Is that going to be fun? Yeah, that'll be perfect. Okay, so let me get my drill gun out. Okay, so for our hole, we're going to be very gentle here, okay? I'm going to reverse the drill first in the hole that I've carved in there, just to burnish the wood a little bit and make a spot for the drill to go into, right? And you can see how it kind of pushes the wood a little bit in the right direction. Now, the reason for that is because I don't want this thing to tear the carving up, okay? So when I go to push this on here, I'm going to be holding the drill gun in place and pushing with my hand gently. And behind this, where the drill bit goes, you're gonna notice I'm not gonna have any fingers behind it. It's going to be away from the drill bit. So even though I'm doing this by hand, I'm gonna be very gentle and very careful. And I'm gonna start turning it first because I don't want it to tear the lip. So it can tear that lip real easy because those ends here on the drill gun are very sharp. They're gonna catch easy. So for those of you who know how to use a drill gun, this is very simple. For those of you who don't, just be very careful. Push in gently. My fingers are out of the way. And you don't need to push in deep either. You can see it's biting in a little bit at a time. And that's probably all the depth we need. That's about 1/8 of an inch. No, a little more than 1/8 of an inch. About 1/4 of an inch. And that's all that we need in there. And you can put a cigar right in that hole, or you can put a pipe in there. So we're gonna put a pipe in this one. So the guy here, he's got his hole drilled. He'll be our cigar guy. And we got a hole drilled for this guy. Now we need to carve a pipe. So let's carve a pipe next. Okay, this is just a scrap piece. Let's adjust this a bit. This is just a scrap piece of 1x1 that what used to be the bottom half of a wood spare, it looks like. That's the beard right there. So I'm going to carve a pipe in it right here. And we're going to carve a pipe about like this. We're going to carve a pot and bottom of the pot coming up to a stem like so. And that stem doesn't need to be that long, okay? But that's a general shape what we're doing here. Just a general rough shape to give you an idea. And that is about 1.5 inches long maybe. And I'm gonna cut that stem off. We're gonna make that stem nice and small so we can adjust it to fit his face properly. So what we're gonna start with by swooping in and out and getting most of this bottom off. And you can start by doing the left side a little bit, and then the right side a little bit, and in the middle a little bit. Be careful not to cut your finger there, right? And start to swoop that up in there. So same thing on the other side here, swooping it up in there, and then swooping it up in there, and in the middle, like so. We're starting to get that shape that we want, right? And remember, the lines that we draw in here, those are to help us, not to force us into any particular shape. So if we get it close and we're happy with it, then that's good. We don't have to get more, okay? So you can see we got some work to do on this top corner here. So I'm just kind of rounding it all in as well. Not off the top. I want to leave most of that there because I want to come up to that, right? Our pipe drawing is right here. We want it to be a bit of a swooping pipe in this way. And you got the overlay there to look at if you need to for this other part here. All right. So along the top here, we want to create a stop cut right here and carve down to it. Right, and I'm just going to continue that along the side here. Same thing on this side. We're right down to it. In the front as well. All the way around. We're making good progress. It's starting to look like a pipe when we look at it from the side. You follow? And we can kind of bring this in. The pipe is going to be thinner. So I'm going to start to bring that in on each side. Okay. The mouthpiece, we're going to make about the size that a dowel rod was. And that's what's going to slide into Santa's mouth. When we get it done. Okay, now for the front half of the pipe, how do we free this up from the block of wood? Well, we're going to V-cut all the way around it. I'm going to start right here and just start putting V-cuts in. Okay, I'm going to do this all the way around. Now, there'll be deep V-cuts coming in from the back side and mostly straight along this side, just slightly angled maybe. Okay. So you can see we're starting to get that shape, like so. And just coming from the bottom to the same thing, following it around, making our line all the way around. Is that right? Well, let's continue around from the top here. So we can help maintain our angle. We can take that hard corner off right there. We don't need that. And we're just working our way around. Yeah, that's coming along. We can take that corner off like that. Now I'm going to spin this carving around as we do this, right? This is a more freehand style of thing. We're trying to do a pipe. And pipes come in so many different shapes and varieties. As a pipe smoker, trust me, I know. We're not going for any specific style of pipe. Just a good bent shape pot, maybe billiard style pipe. But you can go for any style of pipe. Maybe your grandfather smoked a certain style of pipe and you want to do that one, you go for that. This is your carving. You carve your carving how you want to carve your carving. However you'd like to. That's exactly how you should do it. And I'm just going to keep doing these V-cuts too. Getting deeper and deeper all the way in. Be careful as you get real close to the middle because you don't want to cut yourself. We don't want to injure ourselves. Breaking this off is not the thing to do. You don't want to get so close down that you just break it off. You want to cut it off. And as we get closer, I'm going to show you that. So bear with me. Okay, if you got ahead of me, stop. Let me catch up to you here. And we'll do this nice and easy. Once we get done, we're going to clean up this pipe here as best we can. It's like we can clean up a little bit right now, right? While it's still on something that we can hold on to easier. We're going to take off this left or right side here and smoothen it up, okay? So I'm going to take this knife and just put it right between the grain. It'll pop off kind of. And we'll smooth that out a bit, okay? That helps out a bit. Same thing on this side. Right between the grain. Pop off a chunk or two. Like so. Take that bottom off. There we go. So we're starting to get a real good pipe shape in there. Now we're going to keep on V-cutting deeper and deeper. Being careful not to cut ourselves because we like our digits the way they are, uncut, unbroken, unsliced. Okay? So keep doing this and get smaller and smaller V-cuts as you get in there. There's no rush. We're not in a hurry to get this done. Okay? Especially as you get to the middle. Don't get in a hurry. Get smaller and make them wider if you need to so you can get in there a bit easier. Okay? Now we are getting really close to being able to cut this off easy. The temptation is going to be there to break it, but don't try to break it. At some point, it'll just come loose on its own, like it did there. It'll just come loose on its own, okay? And you can just pop it off. The temptation is going to be just to break it. Don't, okay? When you do get it done, there's going to be a little bit of a rough edge on that outer edge. And we're just going to go ahead and do a bit of a paring cut action and smooth that out. Like so. Coming in from any direction we need to. And just make it a bit prettier. Because now we're doing small chips. And just honing the shape of this pipe. So you're doing a guy with a cigar, that's quick and easy. A guy with a pipe, it takes a bit more time to do a pipe right. It's a separate carving, basically. You're carving another thing to go along with it. And it can look great. It really can. But it does take more time. So just keep that in mind. Round those corners off there. Okay? And then round these corners off here. Adjust that thumb guard. It's coming loose on me. There we go. And then just keep on rounding that in. And I want to carve that corner out right here. Take that hard edge out. That's looking great. Now, some people might say, well, what about the hole at the top? I would caution you that on something this small, paint the hole there. Don't try to carve it in. You don't want splitting the wood or hurting yourself when you're new. And we're not going to do that on this one. We're not going to carve that hole in there. Well, you know what? Maybe there's a way to do that carving a little bit easier because we're using the gouge and we're not going to do it knife only. But I wouldn't want to do it with a drill gun. That's just dangerous, asking for trouble. But a gouge, if we can utilize more tools, all of a sudden we've got options. So that's the number 15. Where's the number 9? There's the number 9. So here's this number 9 file gouge, right? And what we can do here is we just, a half circle, we just put it over on one side and just kind of rock it in, okay? Kind of make that little dip, the divot. We do the same thing on this side. We're just going to rock it in, okay? And we're going to turn it like a drill a little bit, okay? I'm going to do the same thing on the side. Turning it like a drill a little bit. And popping a little section out. And then we can widen it if we need to, or if we want to. And just keep doing that all the way around. Now with a drill gun, you could wind up injuring yourself here. With this tool, it is much easier to not do that because it's a carving tool. You can easily predict where it's going to go and how it's going to cut and keep your digits out of the way. You don't think you can do that? Then stop, slow down. Go back to basics. Learn more about how to control it, how to control the knife, how to control the gouge. To make sure you don't injure yourself. Okay, so there we go. We got a little bit of a divot in there. And we could be done here. But let's make this shank here smaller. I like the idea of that being smaller. So I'm just going to keep smoothing it out, rounding it off. It's difficult to hold it and do it because it's a small carving. And just keep that in mind. The small carvings can be more difficult and that you need to take your time. Taking your time is the key on this to not getting injured. The back part here, we're going to curve that out more. So I'm going to do a little bit more of a swooping cut in here. Swoop that on up. Swoop, there it is. Did I just make that joke? Yes, I did. I made a swoop, there it is joke. God, I'm showing my age. Okay. Now this rough section right here, I want to clean that up, but the wood grain is going left to right here, okay? Not up to down. If I come this direction, it's going to split. So I need to come down. I'm going to choke up on that knife and carve down to clean that up. Same thing along the top, carving down. Stop, cut there to clean that up. I like this. This is like a wizard style pipe almost. Yeah, turning out fantastic. I'm being very careful here. You see this finger on the top holding into the thing that's in the way. But I am not being wild with my carving here. I'm gently just taking more and more wood off and getting closer and closer to that shape of a pipe. I think that turned out pretty well. I think we're going to call that good. Let's see, is that going to fit into his mouth? Not yet, it won't. We're going to adjust that a bit. We're going to need to bring that down on the end. I'm just going to keep rotating it and carving little bits off. Little tiny bits. Is that going to fit in there now? Ooh, there we go. Look at that. Tell me that don't look good. Look at that. How fun is he? How fun is he, huh? Big O pipe smoking Santa. Well, there's our cigar smoking Santa and a pipe smoking Santa, both done up. And there's the money shot for both of them all finished up. Remember, if you want to see the painting process and how we got to this point, there's going to be a separate video uploaded on painting. So at the end of this video, you'll be able to see the link to it. You can click that or go right to the channel and take a look at the painting video. You'll see how we got it all the way to this point. And folks, that's all I've got for you today. Listen, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below, and I really appreciate it. If you want to help support the channel, I've got some stickers available over on Etsy that you can go check out. This is my carving sticker, my personal favorite, Wood Carvings by Johnny. Do you even carve, bro? I make wood chips. And what happens to the fan favorites? Drop yet? You don't have to do that, though. So don't worry about it if you don't want to. Head over to Instagram, give me a like and a follow over there. If I see that you're a wood carver, I'm going to follow you back. And outside of that, watch one of these other videos popping up on the screen here. And thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. Bye.